Hello, I'm Dr. Scott Wadier.
And I'm Tommy Welling, and you're listening to the Fasting for Life podcast.
This podcast is about using fasting as a tool to regain your health, achieve ultimate wellness, and live the life you truly deserve.
Each episode is a short conversation on a single topic with immediate actionable steps. We cover everything from fat loss and health and wellness to the science of lifestyle design.
We started Fasting for Life because of how fasting has transformed our lives, and we hope to share the tools that we have learned along the way. Hey everyone, welcome to the Fasting for Life podcast. My name is Dr. Scott Wadier, and I'm here, as always, with my good friend and colleague, Tommy Welling. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Doing fantastic, my friend. Excited for today's conversation. We're going to be going into a study out of the current obesity report that just came out in June of 2025. It's going to look at the additional effect of exercise to intermittent fasting on body composition and cardiometabolic health in adults with overweight/obesity. This is one of our favorites. This is a systematic review and meta-analysis. No matter how many times I say the word systematic, I always stumble over it. So welcome into the Fasting for Life podcast. If you are new, welcome. If you want to know more about Tommy and myself and how fasting transformed our lives, head back to episode 0, episode 1, give it a listen. It'll give you some insights into who we are, why we do what we do, why we have our resources, our challenges, and our weekly podcast episodes, all designed to encourage you to adopt a fasting lifestyle, lose the weight once and for all, get off the dieting mindset roller coaster, and truly get the results in your weight and your health and longevity that you ultimately want. So if you're a long-term listener, thank you so much for liking and sharing and dropping those 5-star reviews that we love and appreciate so much. We do appreciate all the reviews and all your feedback. I want to give a shout out here, Tommy, to MC Pilly. FFL is excellent. Is the title of the review. So thank you for taking the time to do this, and thank you for your kind words. MC Pilly sounds like an MC, like a DJ or a rap group from like CNC Music Factory back in the I don't know if that's mid 90s or I'm dating myself here, but anyway, I really love this podcast, and it's helped me tremendously to get back and to maintain my optimal weight. Yes. This is why we do what we do. Tommy and Scott are always working hard to uncover all the relevant studies, research, and issues. They deliver all this info with humor and personal anecdotes. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
MC Pilly, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. We appreciate you listening in. And most importantly, we appreciate you doing the work and the results that you're getting. So we are so excited to be on this Fasting for Life, or this lifestyle fasting adaptation journey with you and so many of the other listeners. Mm-hmm. So Tommy, let's get into this conversation today.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about the effects of intermittent fasting on body composition and cardiometabolic health. So what the heck does that mean, and why are we talking about it? First and foremost, this study is going to look at, so it's a systematic review and meta-analysis. It's the first dedicated meta-analysis that's going to quantitatively evaluate the additional effects of exercise on intermittent fasting outcomes in overweight and obese adults. So that's about 75% of the current population here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. And we're going to bridge that gap of what we see out there in the literature. But first and foremost, before we get into the study pros and cons and limitations and positives and the outcomes, we want to have the conversation from this standpoint of so many of us have been on this weight loss journey, ultimately wanting health and longevity and disease reversal and prevention of disease and all that other stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but in my family, it's rampant with heart disease and cancers and Alzheimer's and diabetes and all of those chronic lifestyle conditions that we see.
Yeah.
And if we were just say, okay, how do you lose weight? People are going to be like, well, I got to eat less and move more, right? I got to work out. And what we want to do is really come from this perspective that exercise is additive and required for long-term weight loss results.
And health optimization as well.
Right.
The benefits are plentiful, but they're also maximizing the efficiency of our fasting efforts. They're actually taking advantage of good nutrition, and we're actually training our body to be in a healthier state, whether you're measuring that by heart rate variability, resting heart rate, VO2 max, your feelings of energy and vitality. How much energy do you have on a typical day-to-day basis? These things are all improved by deliberate exercise. And so, and that's to say nothing about additional caloric burn or insulin sensitivity,
Right.
which are also very, very good things and will add to the benefits of your fasting and your fat loss efforts. But we should understand first and foremost that fat burning process and muscle building and cardiovascular improvement process, these are separate. They're separate and distinct. So when we think about eat less, move more, they kind of get confounded or conflated right there, where it's like diet plus exercise equals weight loss, and that's not really the case. Body composition is different from weight loss. Fat loss is different from weight loss. And to be thinking that they're all just kind of the same thing, I think it's much more helpful to understand that they are separate, but like you said, Scott, additive and that synergistic, essentially, where when we're using both good nutrition with our fasting plus deliberate exercise, we're getting a better net benefit than either one of them by itself.
So when we look at this, we really want to come from like this concept of exercise is required, right? Now, when you think of it from an eat less, move more, or let's say a Biggest Loser type perspective,
Okay.
you guys know that show,
I
The
remember.
Biggest Loser? Well,
Who can restrict the calories the most while doing the most insane, highest duration, intense exercises, right? Like a reality show, kind of like a Big Brother style reality show. It was crazy to watch.
yeah, and if you want to go down the rabbit hole of what happened to those folks, man, there's a laundry list of like, that was not a sustainable way, right? That was not beneficial for long-term health for so many of those folks. They struggled. It's like the lottery winners. I don't know what the stat is, but so many people give the money back, and end up broke again after winning this huge payday because
Sure,
they're
sure.
not the type of person that knows how to manage that.
Yeah.
And they end up not knowing what to do with it and taxes and all this stuff. So the same thing with The Biggest Loser is, this idea that you can outwork a bad lifestyle or diet with exercise. I'm just going to train harder. I'm going to do more. But what we know conclusively through the studies is diet is the primary driver. Now, whenever we say the word diet right now, we want to think fasting lifestyle, right? Because that's what we talk about.
Sure.
Fasting in itself is the vehicle to reduce calories, balance hormones, get your insulin in check, get your blood sugar in check, make you feel better and more willing to do those lifestyle changes, right? So we know that diet, that our food choices, that our nutrition is the primary driver of weight and metabolic health. Studies demonstrate unhealthy eating habits lead to excess weight gain and increased risk for chronic diseases, poor metabolic function, regardless of the exercise level. So the quality and quantity of food matter more than exercise alone for managing obesity and related conditions. This is why we spend so much time inside of our challenges and coaching on your relationship with food. Let's not bury our head in the sand. We live in an ultra-processed, ultra-refined, convenient, DoorDash-laden world where there is tons of food noise, tons of convenience, and we live in this obesogenic food environment. Now, it may not be your fault, but it is still your problem, right? We need to navigate this with a fasting lifestyle. Then you add in the social aspect. You add in the Hallmark calendar, the holidays, the birthdays,
The weekend.
the happy hours. The what?
The weekend.
The weekend, even every single week. We have 2 days that completely can potentially derail us from a fasting lifestyle. So meta-analyses show that diet only or diet combined with exercise interventions consistently outperform exercise-only programs. This is why we talk about Michael Moss's New York Times bestselling investigative journalist, his book, Salt, Sugar, Fat.
So
Now,
good.
we're not saying you can never eat the Skittles or you can never have Pizza Hut or you can never, enjoy ice cream, right? We want balance. We want to be able to enjoy those foods. But if those foods are making up, or your relationship with foods, when you're stressed, your sleep or your life get out of control, right? And you're not sticking to your fasting plan or your workout plan or your exercise plan, you're just not sticking to the plan and you're self-sabotaging. When you fall off, most folks that we've heard go to food as that dopamine, serotonin coping mechanism. So your fundamental relationship with food is what truly we need to work on over time. And we truly believe that fasting versus calorie restriction, fasting keeps you feeling better, hunger cues in check, even though the actual levels of ghrelin and leptin in your gut might be higher, your body's burning more fat, flipping that metabolic switch, turning on fat oxidation, and giving you the ability to stick to the plan.
Yeah, and also deliberately putting off some of those engineered foods too, to where it can give you enough time, compartmentalizing them and giving you enough time where you might start to feel a little bit better and notice the fact that, hey, you know what? I haven't had some of those highly engineered foods in a little while and I'm feeling better. Okay, great. So that's great. And it becomes a subconscious vote that, hey, you know what? I might want to do that again because I like the feeling of feeling better. So maybe now it's not like I'm just saying no to it. I'm actually craving the thing a bit less going forward. And that's where we start to see the wins kind of stack on top of each other when we treat this as fast cycling versus just kind of sporadic fasting with unintentional food choices all the time too, right?
Yeah, and sporadic exercise, right?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Good point.
Because we gotta focus on that metabolic function. The muscle cell is the metabolic powerhouse of the body, right?
Yes.
So it helps regulate blood sugar. It's just incredible. Like, so that's where we want to focus. And the end goal, when you get to your forever goal, as we like to call it, your maintenance goal, and you don't become the 95% of people that give it back within 2 to 3 years, and you truly can maintain the weight, the weight loss, and ultimately the health benefits of that, you are a different person. You're making different decisions. Your values have changed. You say no to things that you used to say yes to. So all of that comes into play. But when we're looking about, the oversimplification of calories in, calories out, like the reality is running the extra miles can't undo regular consumption of processed, high sugar, high fat foods.
Right.
It's just a math equation. And it just doesn't work. So when we're talking about this study, which was really cool, the study is looking at, I know I said it earlier, I'll say it again, additional effect of exercise to intermittent fasting on body composition and cardiometabolic health in adults with overweight and obesity. So it's the first dedicated meta-analysis, and here are the clinical endpoints that are significant. The addition of exercise, now, I don't want to have the conversation of what is the best way to exercise. It really doesn't matter to me. Just getting moving is key, and then we can talk about resistance training. So it's going to be different for everybody because I'm not a runner. My wife is a runner. She loves to run. I hate to run. I still do it as part of my Metcon workouts and part of my walk-run strategy. And my son's now playing football, so I can't be the dad who can't sprint after him playing catch out, running plays out in the green area near our house. Like,
right.
I need to make sure that my cardiovascular system is healthy, my VO2 max, all of that. So yes, there is a benefit to it. I don't enjoy it. I would much prefer to be in the weight room slinging heavy weights around like I used to do. My joints don't love it anymore at the ripe age of 43 and all the years of powerlifting. But the reality is that we need to find movement. We need to find movement in your day. That's how I want to define exercise, is getting moving, right? Because we live in a sedentary world now more than ever. Like, sedentary lifestyle is undermining our health and weight loss progress. So when we're looking at the clinical endpoints relating exercise stacking on top of intermittent fasting, why does it matter? Well, it's that cardiometabolic effect. It's the long-term health outcome. So the addition of exercise led to notably greater fat mass and waist circumference reduction, improved glycemic control, lower insulin, and better HOMA-IR, which is a gold standard for insulin resistance, which is the kind of the metric to prevent diabetes or reverse diabetes, making sure that you have a healthy insulin and HOMA-IR reading, lowered LDL, and improved cardiorespiratory fitness. Me saying yes to my son after a long day of work and him coming home from school to go out and run around in the 95-degree Houston heat in the green area running football plays, right?
Yep.
That's the real life application. So when we're looking at the results from the study, those are all things that we want to see. And the synergistic effect here is combining the fasting. So your food choices, your fasting efforts, how you're going to have the trump card of fasting, right? To help with your hunger cues and how you feel in your relationship with food and how you feel about food and your food decisions. Because when you have less time to eat, you should put some more intentionality into those nutritious meals that you're making, right? the synergistic part there is when you combine these two, you're going to see superior reductions in fat mass, waist circumference, insulin resistance, LDL, and boosting the cardiovascular fitness when directly compared to just fasting alone. And the reality is, it's not only about the scale, Tommy. It's about the difference in overall body weight between intermittent fasting and exercise versus intermittent fasting only, right? It's that body composition. It's that less body fat and better waist reduction and metabolic health than just that number on the scale.
Yeah, just seeing the fact that there was a difference in greater fat mass reduction when you added in the exercise component. And we see this time after time in coaching and with our discussions with long-term fasters in our challenges as well, is the fact that when we see a consistent effort to exercise, what we typically note is that during the transformation process, during the fat loss process, because most of us, when we're going outside of like a 16 or an 18 or a 20-hour fasting window, a lot of that is for the additional fat burning time that we get. And in order to maximize that, or the reason to maximize that, is usually because, we're looking to kind of step down what it's, body fat wise. So we get into a better body composition, and it might be at an overall lower weight, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, because even a lot of folks at kind of a forever number or a relatively low weight for themselves might not be at the ideal body composition where they want to be. And remember, muscle is denser than fat cells. So the fact is that in order to be a more muscular version of yourself and a less fat version of yourself, the scale might actually net tick up, which is okay as long as you have that perspective and you're not living and dying by the feedback from just the scale. So at that point, that's a body composition conversation that goes in a little bit different direction as far as metrics goes. But to take it back to the additional benefit that we saw here, when we see this greater fat mass reduction, that is an overall very big net improvement on body composition. But also remember that as our muscular cells grow, as they get larger, more powerful, they are becoming the reason why our caloric burn rate goes up.
And our blood sugar management and insulin sensitivity gets better too.
Yeah, because they are the greatest sinks of blood sugar in the body, and actually utilizing the insulin that we put out because of a nutrition opportunity as well. So that's because of metabolic activity within the muscle cells. So anything that we can be doing to stimulate the most number of muscle cells, large muscle cells, as often as possible, is going to give us that synergistic effect. And that's why I love this study, because they didn't just look at one type of fasting or one type of exercise. They did it across multiple fasting protocols, but also multiple exercise protocols as well. They were using high intensity interval training, resistance training, endurance training, and concurrent various cardiovascular and aerobic and anaerobic training protocols, which is
simply what that means is it doesn't matter the type of exercise.
No,
it just matters that you get moving.
Consistency. Get it moving.
Yep. So there were a couple of limitations on here in terms of the clinical outcomes, and because they used a Prisma grading system where it was the confidence of the clinical outcome. And there was one that was moderate, and there was a lot that were in the moderate to low category. And the study con was that these studies varied widely in intermittent fasting windows and exercise protocols and populations, and they were shorter in duration, only 4 to 16 weeks. Mm-hmm. So when you're starting to do any type of new resistance training program or exercise program, you do it for a month, you feel it for a month, and then you see it for a month. So typically by month 3, that's when you start to see the changes in the mirror, in the clothes, It takes time. So a lot of these studies barely even got to that point where you'd see the changes or those consistent body composition changes, because you don't build lean muscle tissue or you don't lose 2 to 4 pounds of fat or gain 2 to 4 pounds of muscle overnight, right?
True.
It takes weeks to months. So that's why we're highlighting the fact that it's not just about the number on the scale. It's about the iceberg analogy. It's what's going on beneath the surface, most importantly, cardiometabolically, but also like what's happening with that body composition change. And this is what we see when a lot of our folks get to the maintenance. And this is what I'm working on right now in terms of my visceral fat, my abdominal fat that I've had since I powerlifted in my late teens, early 20s. I've always had that extra belly fat. So I've been working, over the last couple of years to get down from 15 pounds to 12 pounds. Now I'm under 5 pounds. And that's only going to help my metabolic profile, my energy, all of that other stuff. So your goals change initially. If you get 100 pounds to lose, let's get the freaking scale moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then let's, as we get closer to our goal, or let's say you got 30 pounds to lose and now you're in that last 5 to 8 pounds, we really need to be focusing on that body composition. And this is where exercise even becomes more important, as you were just highlighting, Tommy, talking about the muscle cell in itself and why it's so important. So there was low certainty of evidence due to that variability. And there was some, insufficient descriptions of interventions and randomization processes and all these different types of things. But if we're going to zoom out to 30,000 foot and look at the results, the one that really stood out that had the highest certainty grade was the fat mass. So raise your hand, unless you're driving. Give us a head nod. It was moderate certainty for fat mass when you combined intermittent fasting plus exercise. So how many people come to fasting to train for a marathon or to increase their performance in an endurance race or to just get the benefits of autophagy? Very few, right? That's probably not the lever you want to pull. Well, maybe for the autophagy conversation, but
yeah, it's a minority
most people,
for sure.
Yeah, most people come to fasting for weight loss, and it's not about them. It's the fat loss that we want. And this one stood out above all of the others in terms of the certainty grade in this study, even taking into account all those limitations, that the fat mass was most reduced when you combine intermittent fasting with exercise. Choose your own adventure with exercise, and we'll give you some ideas of what that could look like if you're going from couch to exercise or you're very sedentary and you're like, where do I even start? We'll give you some recommendations in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So when you're looking at what are my overall goals, just the fat loss goal in and of itself, pouring fuel on that fire right there by adding consistent exercise to your fasting is such a big lever. And I don't want to forget to say that a lot of times we think about exercise in such a strictly defined kind of what's available in the gym kind of way that
Right.
it really shuts us down to be thinking about it more creatively in more of a way that we can actually get big dopamine hits from our exercise. It can be a big rewarding, fun part of our day and our
Yep.
week. Pick up something new. If you're not very active right now, start very small. I remember a few years ago, my first time trying rock climbing, finally, because
Oh my God.
because I had so much extra fat mass that I was like, I can't get close to a pull up or anything else like that. Like body weight stuff is kind of hard, even though I'm relatively strong, but dropping a few pounds and then it became more realistic to actually go try that out. And it was so much fun that I really look forward to it, and I don't think about it as exercise. A lot of times you'll hear people say the same thing about something like pickleball, where cardiovascularly you're doing something way different from being sedentary, but it can be so much fun that you don't even notice the exercise aspect. So think about it in more broad terms like that. Again, don't paint yourself into an exercise corner where it has to be something that you can do in a gym. In fact, I'm going to challenge everybody, go outside of the gym, find some things to do. And if you want to supplement that with some things in the gym, like a treadmill or a bench-based weight program, those things are good too. But if they're not that interesting for you, you shouldn't spend most of your time doing them.
So when we want to get away from the biggest loser mentality. I'm going to work out 6 days a week at 5 a.m. I'm going to, hire a personal trainer. Yeah, that's all great stuff. But what's the long-term sustainability of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the thing that you're consistently going to do when you don't feel like doing it?
Right.
Like
Good point.
when you don't feel like doing it, what's the thing you're going to do? So I want to give you an outline here of just like a basic beginner framework here in just a minute. But I don't want to bury the fact that the benefits when we're looking at the outcomes of the study, the greatest reduction in fat mass, waist circumference, insulin, HOMA-IR, LDL, cholesterol, leptin, the hunger hormone, and resting heart rate, and the moderate certainty, right? The best result from these varied studies is the fat mass reduction.
Mm-hmm.
So the combination of these two for us, we've never really been there's other coaching out there, and there's other programs out there. There's a lot more now in the intermittent fasting space and the circadian biology space and the hormone space and all that. Some of them are like, their main thing is like, all right, we're gonna lead you in workouts every single day. And I used to do this in my clinics. We used to do a Wednesday night boot camp. It was 20 minutes. And we used to do a Saturday morning boot camp after we saw patients. So we would actually do workouts, these type of like boot camp type workouts. And we had no equipment. We had a couple of resistance bands and our body weight, right?
That's good. Yeah.
The reality, people loved it. They always showed up. They brought friends, right? And then when it wasn't 100 degrees here, we'd go out into the parking lot and do it. And all the title company next door and the massage center and the yoga studio would be looking at us like, what the hell are these guys doing?
Right.
we're moving, right? So when we're looking at how to adapt this to you, like if you're going from, there's that couch to 5K training.
Yeah.
So we want to do this we cannot undermine the importance of staying consistent with your fasting efforts. We do have to already have, and we have outlined so many times that we need to take on the obesogenic food environment and our relationship with food. If your sleep and your stress and your fasting are consistent, your food choices are going to be absolutely that much more difficult to lean on willpower day over day. So we want to keep those consistent. We just talked about this in the previous episode of how to get the benefits and fast cycling and stack those fasting and get the greatest cardiometabolic benefits of fasting and weight loss. So go back and listen to that if you hadn't. But when it comes to working out, coming from this couch to workout, it's really just going to be not Biggest Loser type stuff. Simple, repeatable routines that are going to build habits and confidence while minimizing the risk of injury, right? Because that's a lot of people's fear, right? Well, I'm older. I haven't done it in a while. Well, yeah, we don't want to go load a joint with weight if the range of motion isn't great, right? So evidence-based guidelines recommend gradually working to 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity per week. Tommy, how many hours is that?
Okay. 2.5.
150 minutes? I'm so glad you're the math guy. 2.5 hours. So that's like 30 minutes.
Yeah, you do 30 minutes a day for 5 days.
5 days a week. I was going to say that, but then I didn't trust my math skills.
or about 20 minutes a day if you were going to do something every single day. But I'd prefer to shoot for about 5 days a week. Yeah. 30
so here
minutes.
it is. So here's your couch to exercise plan.
Okay.
Start with daily walking. Walk for 5 to 10 minutes, once or twice daily. If you're just starting out, if you're already moving, then you're just going to do 20 to 30 minute walking sessions. That's going to get you to your 7,000 to 7,500 steps a day if you do move throughout the day and cook and clean and pick up kids and work and all that kind of stuff. That's going to get you to that beneficial, get your steps in kind of number, that 7 to 7,500 mark.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're just basically starting, here's what it looks like. Because then on top of the 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity with consistent fasting, like brisk walking, you don't need to go run. You want to add in 2 to 3 sessions of light strength training. Now, don't think Biggest Loser. Think you can do this literally from behind your desk, which is what I do. I have a walking pad right there. I have a weight vest right there. And I have a spot on the wall where I can do wall squats and a bunch of whole different other crazy cortisol lowering things that I do before bed. But
Nice.
Simple body weight movements, squats, wall push-ups, chair stands, marching in place. We've done articles and podcast episodes on this where simply breaking up the total 30 minutes you want into 10 3-minute sessions a day actually shows better blood sugar management.
Yeah.
Than your 1 30-minute session or 1 30-minute walk.
Yeah, because it's about the number of sessions, not the duration.
You can slice this loaf of bread of exercise into how many little parts that you need.
Yeah.
But we got to start somewhere. So Monday, 10-minute walk, lower body workout. The things I mentioned, air squats, wall push-ups, chair stands, so lower body. And then Tuesday, if this is right, straight beginner, you're not doing any type of movement right now. 10-minute walk, upper body. Wednesday, 10-minute walk, core. Thursday, 10-minute walk, lower. Friday, 10-minute walk, upper. Saturday, 10-minute walk, core. And Sunday, you rest.
Easy.
That's it. You need no equipment. You just go to YouTube and Google at-home 15-minute lower body workout. No equipment. And you're going to get so many free YouTube University. But the reality is I feel like we don't do this enough. We don't, and we haven't done this enough. So this is a on us type thing where we haven't always had exercise as a primary driver. We talk a lot about it on how to customize what you're currently doing. Like if you're working out in the morning and you notice that if you do it fasting, you're really hungry after your workout, we help people strategize like, okay, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
How do you currently adapt what you're doing? But we haven't really ever doubled down on the fact that combining exercise and movement and cardiovascular benefit, aerobic activity, 150 minutes a week with some strength training, how important that truly is, not just in the weight loss and the fat loss journey, but in the long-term sustainability part of what we want.
Yeah, I think getting really clear with what you want from your exercise is also an important thing. Again, getting away from just the what equipment am I used to using in the gym, if any, or kind of going back into a
It can be
previous mode.
intimidating.
It can be. It can also kind of paint you into a corner that's not really all that enjoyable, so that you don't necessarily want to continue doing it. So it's good, variety is a spice of life, but also just finding movements that you really do look forward to. Then you can kind of reverse engineer towards your long-term goals. So maybe it's VO2 max, so you have better cardiovascular output. Maybe so it's that you can climb those stairs easier without feeling so out of breath. Well, guess what? Getting some movement on the scale because you're burning through some excess fat during your fasting hours, that's going to make big strides towards that. But adding some deliberate training in that regard is going to really just accelerate the process and help you to enjoy the process and get even more out of that scale movement, which then leans into fast cycling, into more motivation to continue going also, and really kind of like just accelerates that momentum, which is great. And that's exactly what we want to see. And that's where some of the benefits of exercise along with consistent fasting really kind of come in. They really complement each other.
Yep. We all know that movement is key, right? It's just how do you do it? So focus on habit and consistency. Frequency is more important than intensity at the start.
Yeah.
Frequency is more important than intensity at the start. Soreness is good, pain is not. Okay? So don't go crazy. Don't go biggest loser on us here. Okay?
Yeah, don't try to swing for the fences, right? Especially not at the beginning. Bring the ego down and remind yourself, hey, you know what? Slow and steady really does win the race. And I would rather feel like I can show up for my workout tomorrow or the next day rather than I need to wait a bunch of days, but before I feel up and ready for my next workout. That would be better.
This reminds me of a funny story when I had an injury back in the day when I was doing CrossFit and a lot of rowing and on the erg, and I injured my bicep, and I had to had surgery and a tremendous amount of time off. And my wife's like, so when are you gonna get back into working out? After 14 years of marriage, she just asked me the other day. She's like, hey, can I tell you when it's time to like trim your beard? I'm like, yes. Like right now, it's like super scruffy. She's like, hey. So she was like, hey, when are you going to start working out again? After 6 months of PT. So being me, I was like, all right, I'll just go do one of the foundational CrossFit like benchmark workouts. It was 100 thrusters for time with 135 pounds. I got to like
Intense.
20. I got to 22 and realized that I had made a bad choice.
Yeah.
I didn't complete the workout.
Yeah. Bit off a little more
how
than you could
freaking
chew.
sore was I for the next few weeks? That was dumb. So don't do that. Okay. So as you build confidence, increase your walk duration or your new strength exercises for variety. Build on the foundation. Start small. Get a weight vest, right? If you need a little bit, if you're already walking, you're like, oh, I want to level it up. Get a weight vest. Go get a 15, 20 pound weight. You can get them for $20 off of Amazon, right?
Yep.
Brisk walking or low intense steady state movement. Zone 1, zone 2 is one of the most safest and most effective ways to start. No equipment, no gym membership needed, right? No intimidation to the gym or the fear or the stuff that comes with that. It is literally one of the most effective things you can do for fat loss. Low, intense, steady state. And that is why I have a walking pad here. And that is why I love where we live because we have the walking trails around. But if I don't get outside, I can do that easily 10 minutes before bed. Kids can be in the bathtub. Like, it's super simple. I don't need to leave the house and worry about the baby monitor. I can literally just do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No excuses. That's the kind of barrier for entry that you really need so that you can check that box
Yep.
in a very consistent way, right? Low barrier of entry.
Yep. Lower the activation energy. Yep.
Yeah.
And you're going to get those additional benefits. So if you're looking for more support, more guidance, you want to accelerate your results and speed up the process and be in a fun-filled group of folks, join the upcoming challenge. We have one challenge left in 2025. Yes. Can't believe I'm saying these words. It's coming up the week before Thanksgiving. Perfectly placed, strategically placed, right before the holidays. If you're looking for more fasting guidance, head to the show notes. Click the link for the blueprint to fasting for fat loss. But you got to start somewhere. We know the benefits of fasting. If we want those long-term additional cardiometabolic benefits and body composition benefits, we got to get moving. So I'm going to encourage you to start small, but just start. Literally, pun intended, take that first step. So Tommy,
Nice.
As always, man, I appreciate the conversation, and we will talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.
So, you've heard today's episode, and you may be wondering, where do I start? Head on over to thefastingforlife.com and sign up for our newsletter, where you'll receive fasting tips and strategies to maximize results and fit fasting into your day-to-day life.
While you're there, download your free Fast Start guide to get started today. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Fasting for Life.